Life of love. Life of love. With Julie Hilson.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Life of Love, where we gather every week to figure out what our life of love looks like today, because it's a constant moving target, and some days it's thicker than others. And I love how my guest today has brought forth this in her divinity is, through the lotus through the mud. And so that's her metaphor. And it's just so beautiful and so resonating that I'm really excited to welcome Ann Jonas to Life of Love. Ann, thanks for being here.
Pleasure. I'm so excited. We already have such a vibrant connection energetically, and I love the mirror of our lives we've already witnessed. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And Anne really persevered. She had to deal with me rescheduling, and then I had a tech issue this morning. It's like, whoa. But I always know that when the energy is so strong, it's always for a reason. And sometimes it just makes you fortify your persistence. And so thank you again for your graciousness.
Well, and it gave us a beautiful opportunity. And this is a beautiful opportunity. Divine timing, divine alignment,
Absolutely.
Trusting in what doesn't make sense in our mind, because it's not in our minds to understand it. It's in our being, it's in our experience, it's in our body and our intuitive understanding. But yeah,
Yes.
That's the beginning of this.
Yeah. So, Anne is she's dedicated her life to bring forth the divinity in each person, and it's taken on different forms. She's been a birth doula, right? Mm-hmm. And she's a channeler. She helps people discover their divinity, and she's an author. Healer, messenger guide. She's had an assignment, and she said yes many times, and so I'm just really, I wanted to give the audience a little background. I mean, it shines through when you speak, but I like to give a little background. And man, your story has been amazing, and you're coming to us from Idaho, right?
Idaho Earth, yep.
Idaho Earth. And so the big sky there. And she moved from California and followed the call. But part of the story, which was just really cool to me, is how you entered the earth. You were created through these two beings that were supposed to be this example of love and support and nourishment. And that sort of tumbled. And like you said in a previous interview I listened in on, it caused you to redefine your role and your perspective. And then you come out of this as a beautiful lotus, as the love messenger. That's your tag. So, that's a testament to, you could have gone the other way, and you just doubled down on love. So I just want to highlight that and just share that with the audience. I'm just so happy that their ears are on this conversation, because we've asked for a message for the highest good, and I'm just so delighted to bring this forward.
Thank you for all of that, Julie.
So, I wanted to dig in on, or just explore the idea that, we have this life, and we've heard it a million times, but I do need to put this backdrop on the whole conversation, is that we're spiritual beings having a human existence, and to come at it from that perspective, sometimes that's illuminating in itself, just to sit with that. But then you look at, like, why do we do this? And to me, you go through these things, and we have contractions where, like you say, it's the mud. These contractions where things are dense and it's hard, and we're feeling the 100% earthiness of it. And then that makes room for these expansions. So it's like this constant contraction, expansion. And that's, if you get into the quantum physics of it, that's the whole universe. It's constantly contracting and expanding. And we're a manifestation of that. So I would love to pick your brain on that concept of contraction and expansion, and how you've seen that in your life. I mean, it's obvious with your childhood and these things that happened early on, but yeah, let's just explore that in our hearts a little bit.
I love this. Well, part of why I love this is where I get to play with birth metaphors, because birth metaphors are it's everything. You already said it. We contract and we expand. And how we physically get on the planet is through contractions. And this concept, you spoke into the assignment. I feel that what we're here doing and what I've uncovered in my own curious journey. It's funny. I'm going to bring this back, Julie. We got squirrel. There was a squirrel moment, and I was looking at her beautiful mandala behind her, like right in the middle of the conversation. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that. And she acknowledged squirrel in a way, Julie, it's so beautiful what you offered. And maybe your audience has heard this before, but the idea that a squirrel is for us to gather information in the moment. And it's not about distraction. It's actually about what's important. And I love that, because when we stay with, no, I got to stay focused. I got to be on my thing. I'm not listening. I can't hear, then where are you allowing yourself to be guided? You're a channel. I'm a channel. We're all channels. All of us are channels. You don't have to have any named beings. It doesn't matter. You are a channel of information. And we all have a certain amount of awareness as we notice that in our lives. It's from the beginning. My goodness, I could go all over the place, and I do. I squirrel in my conversation, but I am going to bring something important back, and that's this birth journey and this human experience. We're spiritual beings, first and foremost. This is only a very small blip, this human condition, human experience, journey, now moment. In the layers of lives and dimensions, everything's a spiral. I love this concept of being in the center, and that all the dimensions and all of the oneness, we're the one, and we're part of the one, part of the whole. All this stuff can get really heady, right? Where do we go to understand this? We go to our body. Our body literally is the barometer for how we are being along this assignment. And we chose our parents. Yeah, they're supposed to be loving. Like that's the picture, right? Two people, they love each other and they have kids, and then, it's a lovely journey. Not everybody has that. But here's something. We don't compare tragedies in my tragedies are for my journey, and yours are for you and your journey. And we trust that what we're experiencing is serving. I talk about this a lot, and then there's a really big important one, which is, well, I got given up for adoption. How do you explain that? And that, like, right from the get, right? You talk about that loving environment. There's something deep in there. Your design, your assignment, your goal, your intention, your desire, your vision, your purpose. What word would you like to use? Any of them are useful. Was to learn self-love, maybe on a level. I mean, we're all here to learn self-love. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? As a love messenger, I desire that all beings know love, and that the love is divine love, first and foremost. And we're an expression of that divine love. And we all have that desire to exist. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So I'll stop there. We can go somewhere else.
Yeah, that divinity, that remembrance, and being adopted or having that filter on your experience is a bigger call to bring forth.
Yes.
So yeah, and to me, the biggest thing is trusting when we have these contractions, when you have this realization that things aren't what you thought they were, that like you didn't sign up for this, like this, you didn't deserve something that happened to you, like
But that's
life
important right there,
happens,
Julie.
but it's
Nothing happens to you, everything happens for you.
for you. So trusting that it is happening for you. And oh, I can just feel people when they're like, yeah, that's an easy thing to say, it happens for you, but it's shit when you're going through it. It's like absolute shit, right? Like
It is. I'm not going to deny that. I
yeah.
have death and disease and all kinds of, I was, became a single mom and all kinds of codependent relationships and trauma. We all have different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that experience of asking why. I mean, that's a child thing, right? Why? What
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't about why? What if it was deeper than why? And what if it was the idea that it was, what am I learning? How is this serving me?
Mm-hmm.
And I
I have a
love this
really good
one.
example.
Well,
This
and
is
where are my
crazy.
edges? Where are my
Right.
edges? Right? Like, what is this? How am I feeling contracted? How am I feeling expanded? Oh, what's your example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, to me, it's the contraction is, we can do that physically. You mentioned through our bodies as the biggest example of how we can experience this duality, our relativity in our bodies through the spiritual. But that hug, like contraction, give yourself that compassion and love. And I had an experience, and I'm going to share this. It's a really freaky thing because I've had two things happen with my feet. And I happen to be married to a foot and ankle doctor, which is crazy. I've had several things happen with my feet this month. I won't go into the first one. I'll go in the last two. But the one I was stressed. We were supposed to meet and I had to reschedule my life because my son he had a tennis tournament which went longer, which was good. He beat the number 5 seed in an international tournament. I didn't expect him to make it through the qualifier, but we ended up staying the week. So my whole week got tumbled around only to come home and, celebrating his accomplishments, but yet I'm also part of the machine that runs his, you know what I mean? Like I've got to be there for him and I celebrate him, but then I often feel like I need more boundaries with my stuff. And so I had that going on and I'm pushing my self-love, my self-care away. I know I'm doing it because I compartmentalize and then I expand and take care of myself. And I have series, contractions, expansions. All right. So I come home and my husband has to have knee surgery the next morning. And lots of stress around that because I want to be there for him and I'm thinking about all the things he needs with his nutrition and trying to, I'm showing up for everybody and I love to care for people. Like I do love it. But I was finding myself turning my foot to the outside, like rotating, and I was letting all the stress go through the side of my foot all weekend. I was sitting with my leg out and like the sole of my foot was not to the ground, but everything was anchoring on the side of my foot, the blade of my foot, like by my pinky toe. And all of a sudden I had a bruise. I had caused myself a bruise on that little bone after my pinky toe. And I was like, I completely didn't acknowledge I had done it to myself. I was like, when did I bump my foot? And I have a bruise. And I'm like, Julie, how did this even happen? Like I wasn't like doing anything crazy. I was just at home. And so I started to say, how did I contribute to this foot problem? Because I couldn't walk to the bathroom. I got up to walk to the bathroom and it was like tight. My tendons had all seized up. And I never had anything like that before. And I was like, gosh, how did I contribute? I got really quiet and I gave myself compassion. And I literally did hug myself and I said, Julie, what is this? What is this about? And then I realized, sure enough, I had just been putting all my tension and stress on the side of my foot. And I manifested this foot injury because I wasn't dealing with the stress in a healthy way. I wasn't meditating. I didn't go for a jog or do yoga or stretch. I didn't take any time for myself. I just stayed in this stress and just let it come out my foot. And I know better. But I had to give myself compassion. And, within 24 hours of me saying, Julie, you didn't take care of yourself, but I still, you're still loved and you still care. And I apologize to my foot and my body for not showing up as I know I should or that I can, but it was really powerful because I figured out what it was. And I even told my friends, because I played tennis Wednesday morning and Monday morning, I couldn't walk on it. But by Wednesday, I was out in the tennis courts. I'm like, you guys, this was the craziest thing. I caused my foot. I like gave myself a stress fracture. Like it was a stress injury that I had done because I was sitting in the wrong posture and just, pushing through my life and not having compassion, not giving myself time or acknowledging what I was doing to myself. And so it was a powerful lesson. And being unbalanced, even for a short amount of time, can make the energy come through in a way which doesn't support your highest good. But I do honor and I do have compassion for what I went through because it's part of our human condition. And I was like, gosh, some people never figure it out. And they might take some muscle relaxers or have foot surgery or go through, different things. And my husband was he wanted me to come in for an x-ray. He's like, if it's not feeling better Monday, come in for an x-ray. And I just felt like, no, there's something more to this because I didn't fall. I didn't bang it on anything. Like I don't, I am clumsy at times, but I didn't do it that time. And so I
Like, this
just,
is not one of those times. This was not clumsy.
no.
In a way, though, it's
Mm.
funny. It is kind of clumsy as a concept because it's so close. You were so close to releasing. It was, if you put your feet on the ground instead of on its
Centered.
side,
Right.
exactly, grounded and centered, and both of them. And
Mm-hmm.
and this is also so powerful, Julie, and I'm so grateful because we are that powerful. We are. We
Mm-hmm.
are, we are, we are. We, and I know this is so hard. We're like, la, 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 la. I don't want to listen. But here's the deal. We create everything.
Mm-hmm.
We do. We create everything. It's both from the concept of that, the hologram, the holodeck, as Starship Enterprise, you go to that deck and you plug in a code and then you go and you're there and you're in that life and you can get hurt and you can die in that life. But as soon as you get off the deck, you're back to being you. Okay. That's science fiction, but it's not fiction and it's not science. It's metaphysical, magical stuff. It's energy. It's everything. We co-create our lives in the ways that the people that we attract energetically and how they and their lives are serving for us. Not only the way we're going to interact with them, but what they're going to manifest, co-create, and live through and be as well,
And it
because
just makes
everything's
you,
connected.
that just reinforces your divinity, like how integral you are in the whole network of everyone and everything around you. I mean, it's a beautiful dance. And sometimes you say, oh, we're in the matrix. Well, we sort of are, right? Like,
We're totally in the matrix. And if
the,
anybody here is ringing in their ears, it's not because you have a tinnitus. It's because you're tapped in. It's
mm-hmm.
because you're into you are experiencing and feeling the vibration as it exists in the collective. There's a collective energetic experience,
Mm-hmm.
and we all
Mm-hmm.
are contributing to it. That's a thing. Everything we do and be ripples outward. Whether you're aware of that or not, it's the truth. Everything ripples outward. And that also means that you're receiving potentially what everybody else is offering. And so how do we live with all of that chaos? We have self-reflection, self-love, trust, and boundaries, right? This concept of a boundary that like this is where codependency comes from. When you are caught up in a cycle with an experience or an individual and it's not clear what's yours and what's the other person's. So that's where that boundary has been altered or doesn't exist or has holes in it that aren't serving. Everything is serving. Everything is serving. Everything has a purpose. There is nothing ever wrong. So that's a whole other show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And what I learned is I got to keep myself centered. Like no matter how I'm showing up for other people, this phase, no matter what, I have to be that centered, grounded, come back to alignment with my God, with my soul. And so it's a really beautiful thing. And I think how that you're really participating, you're conscious about this game we're in or this matrix is that you're not a non-playable character. You're taking in the squirrel moments. And I can't help but illuminate something that's in the news right now really big is Peanut. Have you heard the Peanut story?
Peanut as in
Peanut the
like,
squirrel?
oh
Peanutty or
no.
Peanut? It was this squirrel that was rescued by this man in New York. And it's just a metaphor, I think, of what we're going through right now. This part of our society where we're saying we don't want all this overreach of government, but the government came in and took his pet squirrel, which he was viral on, I think it was, oh gosh, I don't think it was Instagram. I think it was TikTok. He was viral because he and the squirrel had this beautiful relationship, and he rescued the squirrel, and the government came in and took Peanut because he wasn't licensed as a
To have
pet.
interesting. And so
And
now it's become
it was on
a whole thing
CNN.
too.
Well, it was on my feed yesterday on my social media, but CNN featured it this morning. And so there's this, like you said, this mass consciousness where we're asserting our divinity and our joy. And however that moment comes in, and it's an amazing illumination of this that it actually was a squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Like my mind is
It could
blown.
have been like of all the animal choices, right? That it was a
Yes.
squirrel because that is the essence of our distractibility. And here's the thing, like, why are we distracted? What are we looking at? When I didn't say anything yet. I was going to. You talked about a hug. The Sacred
Yes.
Connection webinar that we do at the end of every call. We do this together, all of us on Zoom. Because first of all, here's the thing. The most important relationship you're going to have is the one with you forever. The only one. Unless your child dies before you do and you're a parent and that but here's the deal. Really, for those of us that live a full life, we are not going to have the same group in it the whole time. It is a relationship that was chosen as an expression of divinity, an opportunity to experience and feel, to offer and grow and love. Yet it's also an opportunity to uncover, right? To growing in life, there are opportunities, there are tests. How would you like to see that? That's your choice. But this
And
is
not
Earth's
following
role.
what's expected, not following what you typically did. You can look at a new stimulus and be open. You say, I'm open to seeing what could be. I'm open to love. I'm open to joy. And then things will come flying by. It's up to you to say, like you said, the assignment. Are you going to take the assignment, or is it something you don't want to do right now? And either answer is okay, by the way. It's okay to stay in the mud and feel the density. There's no mistakes. It's all
Yes.
perfect.
I love that. That's important for us to say again.
Mhm.
It's okay to stay in the mud. We have this success principle, don't sweat the small stuff, have your goals. Those are important. What I would like us to shift into is that the small stuff, like the squirrels, the small stuff are the building blocks of who you be. Your name and your job and your relationship roles, those aren't, like, that's not who we are. I mean, that's how we identify. Those are the stories that support our role, our experiences. But our inner expression, our I am that I am, our divinity, that is here to have a good time. And that good time also means that things are going to hurt. Good times, bad times. I have my mud here, my lotus, right? This beautiful lotus. No mud, no lotus. That's the idea, that we are here to experience Earth School. But it's funny, you brought something up. Earth School has this idea of just go to school and learn, right? Do what the teachers say. That's how we've done it. What if it was about go to school and look at you and witness you, and that you are the most important? Because that really is the truth. It's like the plane, right? We have to put our mask on ourselves first. So it's to be in contraction, to trust the contraction, to love the mud, to vision the greater picture of who you are and who you be, and to be in dialogue, right? I mean, sometimes, like, I'm going to put my foot on the side and I'm going to do it. I know there's other ways for me to do this. I know that I could stretch, or I could put both my feet down. You probably had one foot crossing and you had the other one under. I mean, I can
Oh, yeah.
imagine exactly how you were. You had right leg over and the left on the side. And yet, like you said, and then and what about that? That's legs tight. Your arms were probably here, right? The whole thing was about contraction. We're energy. You put it all in that one little focal point.
Yep.
So that idea, and this is the thing, this is what dis-ease is. Not disease. We don't get to use that word, just like we don't use coincidence, unless you put a dash between the co and the incident. But dis-ease means you're out of ease. You knew you were out of ease before you created a dis-ease, but you weren't paying attention to the pieces, right? You were caught up
Well, I
in
wasn't
what needed to be
honoring how
done.
important it is for me to be my am. I was being everyone else's am. I wasn't being I am.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the human condition, though. I mean, there are very few people who walk around doing it right, because there is no wrong. But the thing is, there's no right. We're here all collectively at this potent, powerful bridge. We are on the brink. We're in the midst of, truly, another human evolution. And
I
however
witness it.
however you see that, whatever your story is, your awareness of that, we're in it. You said what was it? NPC, right?
Non-playable character.
Non-playable. Yeah. So we are the ones that have the avatars, right? The ones, like, we have an avatar. We're aware that we're out in this experience as a spiritual being, making these choices. And anyone that's really been attracted to you and to the places where I'm speaking, Julie, same for you. Like, what we're offering collectively is that opportunity to be a sovereign, free being. Even if you feel trapped in your human, right? So that's a place to dance in. We are sovereign, free beings that play a game with our human. That's what you played a game. You played a game with your foot. You played a game with yourself. You played a game with your boundaries, with your edge and the place of, but guess what you got to do? You got to bring a teaching to me, to your friends, to your family, and to everybody that has heard the story now of how powerful we are. If you had listened and done the right thing, then we wouldn't have had this conversation. We wouldn't have been able to offer a greater teaching tool to the collective, right? So that's that place. We have to do these things so that we can do and be other things.
And I
That's
did.
why nothing's ever wrong.
I asked God to work through me and for me to bring forth the message that is needed. And so I opened myself up to these things, trusting that it's all going to work out. Wait till you hear the next part of my foot. So the other foot, I decided, okay, I've had this long week. I'm going to go get a pedicure. And I went to a new salon, which is owned by people who opened a new salon that I used to go to the old one. And I went in and they were a little busy, but I got my person, and he actually scraped the soft part of my foot and cut me. And that's the first time that's ever happened to me usually they don't take enough callus off, but he was just aggressively, he had the grater and then he had the pumice stone, and he took some skin off my foot. And I had to be like, stop, this is over. We're done here. And he's like, no, put your foot back in the water. And I'm like, no, I'm not putting my foot back in that water. And it was really good because I had to be very firm with my boundaries. He didn't speak very good English. Bless his heart, he felt bad. He was sorry. He didn't do it on purpose, but I held it together. I wanted to cry because I was like, here, I want to do something nice for myself. I want to pamper myself and get a pedicure. And the universe is giving me this unconscious person who wasn't paying attention.
Yes.
And so the owner came over. He's like, so sorry. We'll charge you for a polish change. And I hadn't gotten a massage. He wanted to massage my feet. I was like, you're not going to massage my cut foot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not letting that lotion get into my skin. It's not high quality. It's already. So I'm like, no, we're done here. Just change the polish. So I went up and I was like, I can't believe you're going to make me pay for the polish. And he's like, well, you don't want to? And I was like, no, I don't think I should have to. I'm leaving here with a cut and a Band-Aid on my foot. And I don't think I should have to pay for it. So I wasn't like angry. I said, I know it was a mistake, but I was hurt and I made myself clear. And I didn't just go ahead with what they wanted me to do. And Julie 5 years ago would have just paid and then complained and written up a bad review of the salon. I'm like, no, we're done here. Like, they didn't charge me. They were sorry. It was a mistake. But I got to also assert my boundaries, and I got to also stand up for myself, and also realize that I'm in charge of my pampering. I'm in charge of my relaxing. I'm not going to pay someone else to help me relax. It doesn't work. You know what I mean?
What? There's so much in here. Oh my God. So, I mean, I love getting mani-pedis. Okay. First of all. So here's the thing though. And, I get ingrown toenails. So I go so I can take care of that piece of it. Right. But it's not really, it's more of a tool than it is like what you had, which often it is, let's go get mani-pedis and relax, but it's not really a relaxing experience. Not for me anyway. But I mean, I love the massage part. I always sit there, but here's something that's really powerful. I've had that before. They scrape and scrape and scrape, and you can feel when you're paying attention when that callus gives away. Like, even though it's on another person, like you can have an awareness of like, oh, it's like cleaning a dish with the scrubber. You can tell when it's soft, like when it gets through what was cooked on.
Yes.
If you're paying attention. And then you move on to the next area, right? But this is that idea of consciousness. Oh my God, squirrel. Like the squirrels happen because we are too intently focused, right? It's like, wait, break free. So let's have more global listening, right? Listening rather than focusing. When we're listening, more information comes through. So like there's so many levels to this, you know, that you chose outside of yourself because you were still not feeling that capacity or capability to take care of yourself in that moment. And so it was like, well, let me just have somebody else fix it. Like that wasn't the pathway,
Right.
right? The pathway would have been for you to take a bath, right?
Right.
To go for a walk in the earth. And these are the things, we all know this stuff. We all know it. We all know it. We need like lists everywhere in every room that says a reminder, when you feel poopy pants, go do this thing. And that everything is serving. Everything is serving. Everything is serving. Like we really can't say that enough times to remember that there is pain and there are challenges and there are lessons. Birth is not an easy process for anybody. And yet it's one of the most beautiful things that human beings experience, both in the journey and when we talk about it, yay, new life, baby. But that contraction, what the baby goes through, it's hugs upon hugs upon hugs, right?
Hugs. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what a trip, right? The whole way that we become human is very amusing if you really think about it. Like how that happens in the natural way. And if you drop a baby, if you birth a baby and it goes on the floor, it will die. We are completely dependent as these creatures to get going on this planet.
It's so beautiful. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to get into with you about was the idea that we can connect with different consciousness channels or vibrations. For example, when I heard an example of when you're learning a language, you put yourself in that language and you study and you learn, but at some point it's like you're connecting to the consciousness of Spanish or French, and it just sort of takes over because you've connected in such a way and you've put yourself in that frequency. And I would love to explore if you've thought of this. I know when you channel, you probably experience it with another dimension, but I would like to introduce to people listening who are open. And if it serves you, take it. If not, if this doesn't make any sense, just leave it. It doesn't matter. But I wanted to explore the idea that, maybe opening yourself to a life of love is a consciousness. And as we all try to be in that frequency, that we create this portal to love or love consciousness, and the other guides and beings who want to be here with us can also tune in. I'm getting a little emotional about it, like tuning into this and introducing it as a state of consciousness that we can tap into, just as you can tap into fear. Like if you go to a scary movie, if you go to a horror film, everyone's tapping into this frequency of being scared. So even if someone drops something, everyone just jumps, right? And normally you wouldn't, but you're tapped into this frequency. So what do you think? What do you think about that?
It's juicy. That's what I'm going to first say. It's juicy. The idea of awareness in multiple dimensions. And our body is a barometer for that, as you were speaking into. Like if you're normally not scared, but you're in a room full of people that are scared in concepts, if you're tapped into it, if you're on that vibration, you are going to feel scared. Now you could be somebody who's like, I don't get scared of movies, and I'm not going to play in that realm. And they're not going to be scared because there's a consciousness around. They are aware that that's a vibration they're not going to tap into. Now, I don't go to scary movies because that is not at all a vibration that I'm interested in. So let's talk a little bit about, I know we could go for a long time on this. I'm going to keep it short, But there is the concept of the Hertz frequencies, right? You know, we've heard about this solfeggio scale. So 432 Hertz is a universal vibration. 432. John Lennon's song, Imagine, is actually tuned to that frequency. Most music, though, in popular culture is 440, 440. And that is a constructed, it doesn't fall into the solfeggio frequency, sacred geometry, bring that in, it's all geometry, for the desire for a level of control. It was actually first introduced in the 40s in Germany. That's how they would share information verbally in the loudspeakers. Why is this important? It's important because we cannot think and constructively understand frequency. It is something that our body experiences. We might feel heat. We might feel tingling. We might get sweaty. We might get chills. We might feel like, you know, we're shaking. Those are all different frequencies and vibration. And when you're resonant, meaning it feels good and you become a part of it, or you're choosing to tap into it, then you're going to be in that field. And you're going to experience what the collective is experiencing in that field. It is a choice where you put your attention. It is a choice what you allow in your field. And having the awareness to come in and listen. You know, so we can say, okay, I know this isn't serving me. I'm going to make this choice. I'm going to eat this ice cream. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do whatever. And I'm going to watch this show. Whatever it is you're doing, know that you're doing it in consciousness and that there's something you're going to get from it. And that in and of itself is the whole key. We are always getting something from everything that we choose to do. It's serving. Now, may not serve in the realm of like what you think it would be serving, but if we decide our inner work is the most important job we're ever going to have, then everything is serving.
It's so good. And, you know, the temptation is to fall into the judgment or categorize things. And so just if you can catch yourself judging instead of having compassion and seeing what needs to be seen at that moment, what's resonating with you at the moment, what information the universe or field is trying to give you, that's the goal. Not to judge or isolate or separate or fear. It's about knowing your divinity and being empowered with that trust of everything happening for you. Oh, we've given so much pearls of wisdom, so many pearls of wisdom here, and just it's been an enlightening conversation. I'm so pleased to bring this forward. Was there anything, you said you have a group that meets? Did you want to highlight anything that you offer? Because I know that you're very active and you've done a lot. You've done a lot, and your wisdom is just so obvious that I can't help but let you share what you're offering and what's resonating for you right now.
Thank you, Julie. I honor you and this opportunity and this platform in your life. You have constructed a beautiful setup for beings to tap in, your own beings, as well as all of the listeners in your audience. Thank you. Yes, my greatest joy is to help and support light soul beings, human soul beings, to remember that they're love and to begin to remove that veil, that amnesia that separates us from our divinity. I love that you say it that way. Many ways to do that. I offer transformational and perspective guidance. The lotuspath.love is my website where you'll find everything. The lotuspath.love. And then you'll receive also the ebook of the chapter from the book that I wrote, Sacred Connection there. Sacred Connection is a 9-week webinar. We do those 3 times a year. I've done 8 rounds of that now since October. And there's a Sacred Connection community membership as well. And all of that can be found on the lotuspath.love. I am Ann, the love messenger everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and I offer there my wisdom, guidance, my truth, my heart, my love.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us today. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for sticking around and sharing these episodes. It really does help to get the word out, and we appreciate your attention, and it's the biggest gift that we could ask for. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for being you and being here.
Hmm.